So welcome to today's practice. Today's practice, we're going to be focusing on opening up into the legs. So the intention for today's practice is to release any stress and tension in the hips and legs. That's where we carry a lot, of course, to feel calm and relaxed. So if you're using oils in your practice today, go ahead and grab them. Maybe put a drop of oil on your palm. I'm using 2 hot oils today. So if you do decide to use the ginger and oregano, they are, depending on how sensitive your skin is, it is best to mix them with a carrier oil. I'm going to place a drop of ginger. Ginger is a beautiful oil. We always know ginger for digestion and nausea. So a really great oil to just, of course it smells really nice, which is awesome. Very uplifting aroma. And of course helps internally with the healing. So I usually like to rub it on my belly. So take a moment to connect with your breath. Just those nice, soft, relaxive breaths. Not really trying to manipulate the breath in any way, just notice where it's going. Notice if the breath stops short, maybe just in the lungs, or notice if you can take that breath a little deeper and drawing it right down deep into the belly. Set an intention for today's practice, recognizing how you want to feel during the practice and after the practice. I'll start by sharing a quote today. The quote is, "It's not about being good at something. It's about being good to yourself." So when you take the time to come to the mat every day that you do, you're being good to yourself. You're taking care of yourself. For some, it takes a conscious effort to do so. So commend yourself. You could have been doing something else, and you chose to come to your mat today. It deserves to be celebrated. Now on the next inhale, slowly open the eyes. And we're going to come onto hands and knees to get started. Now you might choose to use a block or a bolster here, but you don't have to. So we're coming into hero's pose to lengthen into the quadriceps. So as you'll notice, I just popped I'm just going to shift this a little bit. Okay, so you can choose to sit on the heels if that feels okay on the knees, or you can sit up on a block or bolster, just put it up underneath the hips. That might feel good as well. Just wherever you're at, starting slow. So we're working on lengthening into all the muscles in the hips and the legs today. Now, if this posture you feel really good, doesn't bother the knees, you can also begin to come back slightly, setting the hands back behind you. And then even if you are flexible enough, going all the way back down, I'm going to stay on my hands today, but you can certainly lay on your back. Just really important that we are focusing on how the knees and the joints feel, making sure we're not pushing into them too much. Now, if you are leaning back a little bit, you can take the head back to wherever you feel you can. You can sit up a little bit. If you're up here, palms can just rest gently up on the legs. Just finding that position that's going to work for you in this moment. Starting to get into almost that meditative state. That feeling of pure relaxation. Pure bliss on the mat. On the next breath, come back up onto hands and knees. From here, take those knees nice and wide, feet together, sitting those hips back again, coming into our child's pose. So from here, start by dropping the head down to the ground. Just set the timer here. Just for a few breaths. We're going to go into a bit of a rotation here, but just get those hips in that nice position, sitting those hips down as much as you can. Taking just another couple of breaths here in this surrender. And on the next inhale, lift up slightly and take your left arm right underneath the right. And then set your head back down. A couple of options here with the right arm. You can keep that right arm straight or drop that elbow to the mat. So we're looking to find just a gentle rotation in this upper spine. We're opening into the hips and legs as we sit back in child's pose. And if you want to reach that right arm, you'll also get that lengthening in the right side of the back. So relaxing and settling into the posture. Now today you'll notice that I am going to be a little quieter in the practice today. I want to give you an opportunity in each one of these holds to just tune in and listen to your body. As the body relaxes and releases, you'll find some comfort in the pose. And also tuning into your thoughts, just noticing any thoughts that arise and letting them float out like clouds in the sky, just not hanging on to any one thought. Really staying in the present moment in each breath of the pose. Using your breath as a guide today. On the next exhale, let's take that right hand underneath the shoulders and slowly start to lift up. I want you to reach forward into child's pose again, sitting that forehead down. On next inhale, lift, and let's reach those arms to the right. So keeping both arms straight, we're going to lengthen all along that left side of the body. So getting just a little bit more length here before we move to the other side. The next inhale, reaching back towards the center. Coming into child's pose for a couple of breaths. Now, if the knees are bugging you at all, feel free to come up, or if you just need to drop into a counter pose, we'll come up onto the hands and knees. You can drop your hips into cobra. As long as that feels okay, you can also drop to the elbows into sphinx. Just giving those legs a break. Now on the next exhale, release those hips. Again, adjust those knees so they're nice and wide, toes together. Drop into child's pose for a couple of breaths. Lifting the chest, taking your right arm this time right underneath the left. Dropping the head and the shoulder to the ground, either reaching that left arm or dropping the left elbow to the ground. Settling in on this side. Now on the next inhale, draw that left hand underneath the left shoulder, using it to help you rise up and reach towards the top of the mat, coming down into child's pose for another couple of breaths. Using your breath as a guide today. And slowly rise on the next inhale. Walk both hands over to the left, stacking the right over the left, and just pushing down towards the mat, really lengthening into that right side. On the next breath, coming back into child's pose just for a moment. And on the next inhale, rising to those hands and knees. Now from here, let's step forward. We're going to come into baby dragon, stepping forward with that right leg. Now we can have the hands up onto the knee. And from here, drop into those hips. So pushing those hips closer to the mat. Now, if that feels okay for you, now, of course, you can put a pillow or something underneath that back knee if it's bothering that knee. You can also walk that right foot a little further out to the side, closer to the edge of the mat, and take your hands down to the inside of that foot, dropping those hips towards the mat. Now, when you're here, really focus on your breath, getting into those tight hip flexors, releasing any stress and tension. A few more breaths here. We're not going to hold this one quite as long as it can feel pretty intense. On that next exhale, slowly start to push those hips back. Let's keep that leg, the right leg, straight for a moment. You can place the hands on either side of that foot. Slowly start to walk that foot forward maybe a little bit more, straightening into that front leg as much as you can, then tipping from the hip, coming into a nice gentle hamstring stretch here. Good. Now on the next exhale, release. Taking the hands down to the mat, taking that foot back and switching right over to the other side. So let's step forward with that left. Again, you can start with the hands on the knee, coming up a little higher, getting that position. Once you're as low as you feel like you can go there, if you want to go a little bit more, just walk that left leg out to the left, hands going on the inside of that foot. Finding those nice, deep, steady breaths. Exhale, slowly release. Push the hips back. Keep that left leg straight. Hands can go on the hips or stay on the ground. Hands on either side of the leg. So we want a fairly straight leg here, just not a locked knee. When you can, tip forward from the hip and breathe into the back of the leg. Just a nice gentle lengthening into that hamstring. Excellent. And release. So what I'd like you to do now is you're going to sit down onto the right hip. We're going to come into 90-90 or deer pose. So we're going to take the top of the right shin, just right so it's parallel to the long edge of the mat. So if you were to be sitting up tall, which I'd like you to do, I'm going to shift it so that your thigh is directly below that chest. Okay, so if you were to straighten that arm out, it would be right below. Now we're going to take that left leg directly off to the side. Okay, so 90 in the knee, 90 in the ankle, 90 at the hips. Square yourself up so that you are over top of that right thigh, sitting tall. You kind of arch into the back, shine that chest up and proud to the sky. And then slowly, if you feel ready, start to come down over top of that leg. Now, for a little bit of a deeper opening in the hip, you're going to kind of turn your body so you are closer to the foot. And of course, you can lay right down. You can take that right arm underneath and rest. Head can just rest down on a bolster. You can take those arms out in front of you, or you can even simply just rest the head in the hands. Kind of play around with it. Let this be your practice, using the poses I suggest really as guidelines. And then listen to the intuition of your body to just say, I'd like to go here today. I think this would feel good right now. Just listen to that. On the next inhale, wherever you're at, let's take those hands right underneath the shoulders and slowly sit up. Now, keep your right leg where it's at. I want you to take your left leg, so you might even need to use the help of the hand. And I want you to lift that leg all the way around. Now, this bottom right leg can either straighten, which might feel better, or you can tuck the foot a little closer to the hip. So whatever feels better. I'm going to straighten, I think, today. Sitting up tall, you're going to turn, hug into that left knee with that right elbow, sitting up nice and tall. So bringing the left hand behind you, slowly start to rotate. So every inhale, sit up really tall. Every exhale, rotate a little deeper. So inhale, nice and tall. Exhale, a little deeper. And all the while drawing that left knee tightly in towards the chest, lengthening into the outer side of that left hip. Now on the next inhale, sit tall. And as you exhale, rotate back to the center. Now let's keep that left ankle right over top of that thigh, making sure that it's above the knee or below the knee, okay? Just not right on that knee joint. Keeping that left knee off to the side. Think about inhaling, sitting tall, shine that chest up, and then as you exhale, tip from the hip. Almost like this is half square or seated figure 4. Just be able to feel it right in that left hip. Reconnecting to the breath. And of course, as you feel the muscles relax, essentially that's your body inviting you to go a little bit deeper if you feel you can. May not even be much, just a little, a millimeter or so. Just use your breath to go as deep as you feel you can. You can choose to stay here. You can come with me if you want. So you're going to take your elbow around your foot on the right side, your elbow on the left around your left knee. Lift up that leg and see if you can bind those hands together. And from here, you can just rock that leg gently side to side. See if you can open into that hip just a little bit more. See where the sweet spot is. Wonderful. Wherever you're at, release. Now let's take the right leg, swing it out to the right. We'll set up for 90-90 deer pose again. So we'll take that left knee directly out in front of us, left shin on the parallel to the long edge of the mat, right thigh out to the side, right shin off to the side. So again, get those angles in there, 90-90 angles. When you're ready, hands will go square on either side of that left knee. And then just choosing your position. So leaning into it, notice how that hip feels. We did loosen it up a little bit already in the last one. When you're ready, fall and surrender towards the mat, wherever you need to go. You might be able to go right down to the ground. I like to rest my head in my hands. You choose whichever position is going to work best for you in this pose. Remember, these long holds, we're looking for as much relaxation as we can to encourage the body to release. The muscles and connective tissue around the legs and hips are extremely tense, usually. So use that breath. Continue to use your breath as a guide. And just let the body know that it is okay to release all that stress and tension. And although it might be uncomfortable in some of these poses, you feel so much better throughout your day, throughout your week, once you've released everything. On the next inhale, slowly begin to rise using the hands. Now we're going to leave that left leg where it's at. You can use the hand or engage that core and just swing that right leg around. Feel free to keep that left leg bent or straighten it out. Sitting up nice and tall, drawing around that right knee with that left elbow. Now you can either bind the hands together, hold them together, or the right hand can go behind you. Now having the right hand behind you is a nice way just to help with your rotation. So sit up tall, drop the shoulders down and away from the ears. And as you exhale, rotate a little deeper. Deep inhale. Release that rotation. And as you exhale, drop that right knee off to the side, setting up for half square on this side. So we're leaning into the stretch as much as you can. So keep that left leg, the bottom leg, just relaxed. The right leg as well. And just slowly start to tip forward from the hip to wherever it feels good. Choose to stay here. If you want to join me, draw that foot into the left elbow, draw the knee into the right elbow. See if you can lift that leg up again on this side. Of course, this is just an option, allowing you to potentially go a little deeper. Just gently rock into that hip just to see if you can find those sweet spots. On the next exhale, release that leg. Maybe shake both those legs out. And from here, let's come onto the back. So when you come down, I want you to keep your right leg straight, bending into your left leg. So hugging that knee close in towards the chest. Now from here, take that knee right off to the left. And if you can, reach for your foot or your ankle or your calf and come into half happy baby. So we're lengthening really strongly into that left hip. So we're pushing that knee down towards the mat, keeping that right leg strong on the ground. Right hand can either go on the thigh or off to the side. Opening into that left side. Now from here, if you feel you can, straighten into that left leg. Continuing to draw it off to the side, getting into that hamstring. course, you can release the foot and hold on to the leg wherever you can. Now as you exhale, bend into that leg again. Let's release the foot, hugging into the knee. Now from here, let's take that knee off to the right. So you're just going to gently take that right hand, keep your left shoulder on the ground, lift that left hip up a little bit, and just draw that knee over as far as you feel you can comfortably. We're not trying to touch the knee to the floor, just lift the hip off the ground. Getting that nice rotation. Head can roll off to the left or stay neutral. On the next inhale, slowly come back to the center, hugging that left knee in towards the chest once again. And then from here, switch. So left leg goes down, right knee comes up. When you're ready, you can reach down, coming into that half happy baby on this side. Grabbing onto the foot, the ankle, the back of the thigh, whatever feels good. Left arm, left leg down to the ground. Opening into that right side. Now from here, hand either on the foot or anywhere in the leg. See if you can straighten into that right side. Maybe noticing if the side is a little tighter than the other. You Keeping that left leg and left arm on the ground. Really focus on opening into that inner thigh. Release from there. Let's draw that right knee in towards the chest. Taking that left hand on that right knee, gently draw that knee off to the left. Opening, kind of lifting that right hip off to the ground, keeping the right shoulder on the ground, and the head can tilt off to the right. Only going as deep in that rotation as you feel is okay for you. On the next inhale, slowly begin to come back to neutral, hugging that right knee in towards the chest. Maybe give it a couple circles. And hugging both knees in towards the chest. Now, if you can, grab your bolster, block, pillow, anything that you've got kind of within reach here. Take your feet onto the ground. Lift those hips up slightly. Now from here, we're going to set that block, bolster, pillow underneath the sacrum, so right on the lowest part there. Now you can choose to stay here. You can lengthen into one leg. See how that feels. If that feels okay on the lower back, you're going to lengthen into the other leg. What we're doing here is we're just getting into a little bit of a back bend. So really kind of embrace that back bend. Let your body go into it. And we're lengthening, just a nice gentle lengthen into those hip flexors. Making sure there's no pinching in the low back. So if there is, just do any adjustments that you need to. This is a beautiful position to really breathe deep into that belly. If you do have one leg straight and one leg bent, now is the time to switch. Finding that position again on the other side, readjusting. And maybe seeing how that feels, straightening into both legs again if you can. Now on the next inhale, bending both of the knees, feet flat on the floor, and brace that core just so you can lift your hips up high enough to remove your prop. Now let's go into a counter posture where we just hug those knees in towards the chest, simulating a forward fold. Now from here, extending both legs down to the ground, feet nice and wide. Tucking the shoulder blades underneath, so almost coming into a slight back bend, little chest opening here. Palms open. Excuse me. Settling down into just a few moments of Shavasana. Feeling your whole body just melt into the mat. Feeling all of your stress, tension, worries, fears just float away, allowing Mother Earth to take care of them for you. Take a nice big deep inhale in through the nose and hold at the top. And then a nice big sigh out the mouth. Release everything. Do that one more time. Inhale through the nose. Hold at the top. Then release through the mouth. Now finding a few moments here of stillness and silence, just basking in the healing that the practice has brought you today. Maybe take a moment to revisit your intention and tuck it into the heart so that you can take it with you when you go off the mat today. next breath to be a little bit deeper. Starting to wiggle the fingers and the toes, just gently waking up the physical body. Maybe reaching overhead for a nice big morning stretch. Maybe a yawn. Yawning is such a good way to get a nice amount of oxygen into the body. And hugging the knees in towards the chest, just moving slow and just really enjoying this last few moments on the mat. Just noticing how wonderful the silence is and how healing it is to slow down. When you're ready, rolling off to the left or right side, hugging into fetal position for a moment, just rounding into the spine. And when you're ready, coming up to a seated position. Finding a comfortable space. Hands at heart center. This might be a good time to grab a drop of oil here. I'm going to use oregano, again, a really hot oil. Really healing when actually used topically and internally, but always want to use a carrier oil with this one. This is another one I like to put around my low back or around the belly. I'm just bowing the hands into the heart for a moment. I want to close our practice today with another quote. This one says, "The moment is now. The present moment is not just a progression of past moments, but is alive in its own way, complete and perfect. And it is this new moment that demands our attention. Only in the moment can we be fully awake and respond to real needs of ourselves and others. Only in the present moment can we be fully attentive." Taking that message with you as you leave the mat today, staying fully awake, staying fully present in every moment of your life. As these present moments are the only ones that really matter. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.